The figure in the Christmas memory did not leave him. It followed him out of the booth. It took residence in the periphery of his vision. A dark smudge in a well-lit room. A sense of being watched from an empty corner. The glitches in reality became more frequent. Street signs would momentarily display nonsense words. The faces of passers-by would blur, their features sliding like wet clay before resetting. The world was becoming a poorly maintained memory itself. Arthur understood. He had not just seen the thing. He had acknowledged it. And in doing so, he had formed a connection. A crack. And it was peering through. He stopped sleeping. The client memories now invaded his waking hours. Snippets of other people's joy, now tinged with the same dark undertone. A first kiss tasted of ashes. A graduation applause echoed with the sound of slow, dripping water. His own sparse, gray memories began to feel like a fortress. Their very blandness was a defense. There was nothing bright there for the thing to latch onto. Or so he hoped. He began to dig. During his daytime hours of exhausted, twitchy wakefulness, he researched the Mnemosyne Institute. The official history was sleek. Founded 20 years prior by 3 visionary neuroscientists. A breakthrough in non-invasive neural mapping. A humanitarian service. But the details were fuzzy. The founders, after initial publicity, vanished from public view. Retired to private lives, the company line said. He found old, archived newsgroup posts. Rumors. Whispers of early test subjects experiencing personality erosion. Of a promised technology that cleaned traumatic memories, but was shelved. The focus shifted entirely to nostalgia. To happiness. The word, cleaned, bothered him. It echoed the filters on his console. The things he removed to keep the memories pure. He needed to understand the cartridge. The physical object. He managed, during a shift, to palm a spent one marked for recycling. It looked inert. A smooth, dark crystal. In the light of his apartment, he examined it. Deep within the material, if he tilted it just right, he saw not a reflection, but movement. A faint, swirling pattern, like smoke trapped in amber. It was not a storage device. It was a living culture. A neural snapshot, yes, but one that was active. Sustained. The Institute didn't just store memories. It kept them alive on life support. But why? What was the purpose of maintaining a ghost of a feeling in a crystal? The answer came from a client. Or rather, the shell of one. Mrs. Edgemont, client number 422, was a regular. Her memory was a simple one. Baking apple pie with her grandmother. She visited it 3 times a week. Arthur recognized her name on the schedule. Out of a reckless, desperate need, he broke another rule. He looked up her current address. He went to see her. She lived in a nice, quiet apartment. She answered the door. She was polite, but her eyes were empty. A pleasant, smooth vacancy. She remembered him, vaguely, as a voice from the Institute. She invited him in. The apartment was immaculate, devoid of personal touches. No photos. No knickknacks. It was a waiting room. The pie memory, Arthur asked gently. It must bring you great comfort. Oh, yes, she said, her smile automatic. It's perfect. Always the same. Always warm. I can almost smell the cinnamon. But she said it like reciting a recipe from a card. There was no light in her eyes. Do you ever think about your actual grandmother? Other memories. The arguments. The boring days. Mrs. Edgemont's smile froze. A flicker of something like pain passed over her face, then was smoothed away. Those don't matter. They're noisy. The pie is quiet. The pie is enough. She was not reminiscing. She was feeding on one isolated, sanitized moment. And the rest of her, the complex, noisy, real woman, was gone. Depleted. Arthur left, sickened. The clients weren't revisiting memories. They were consuming them. And the memories, in turn, were consuming them back. It was a symbiosis of absence. That night at the console, with a new and terrifying clarity, he monitored a session. He watched the happy memory play out. And this time, he didn't look at the scene. He looked at the data streams. The emotional output. The neural energy signature. He saw it. A second, subtler waveform, hidden beneath the client's joy. A slow, rhythmic pulse, like a heartbeat. It was not the client's. It was parasitic. It peaked in tandem with the client's peak of happiness, drawing on the emotional energy. The memory was not just being played. It was being milked. The thing in the Christmas memory. The shadow in the lake. They were not intruders. They were the reason. They were the silent diners at the feast of recollection. The institute was a farm. The memories were the crop. The clients were both the harvesters and, ultimately, the soil. And the thing, the absence, was the consumer. It fed on refined, pure, potent nostalgia. It grew fat on joy. His supervisor Elias found him in the booth, staring at the waveform. Arthur didn't bother to hide it. "You know," Arthur said, his voice flat. Elias sighed, not with surprise, but with resignation. It was inevitable, a smart one like you would see it. "We prefer our managers, less curious." "What is it?" "We call it the tenant. Or the resonance. It's always been there, Arthur. In the forgotten places of the mind. In the gaps between memories. The communion didn't create it. It just gave it a doorway. And a consistent food source. Before, it fed sporadically. On dreams. On moments of intense, unguarded emotion. Now, we provide a regular offering. In return, it stabilizes the memories. Keeps them perfect. Eternal. It's a partnership. You're feeding a parasite with people's souls. We're giving people what they want. Perfect happiness. A escape from a world that has none. The tenant takes a little tax. A taste. The clients never miss it. They get the feeling, without the mess. Everybody wins. Until they're like Mrs. Edgemont. Empty. She's at peace, Elias said, his voice hardening. She's chosen her perfect moment. She lives there now. It's more than most people have. You have a choice now too, Arthur. You can continue your work. Understanding the truth, yes, but being a part of something greater. A stabilizer. Or, you can become a problem. The tenant is aware of you. It finds your curiosity, your fear, very flavorful. If you cease to be useful, you become food. And not in the pleasant, nostalgic way. The threat was clear. He was trapped. To quit was to be actively hunted by the thing he had invited in. To stay was to be its accomplice. He made his choice. Not to be prey, and not to be a keeper. To be bait. He had a plan. A terrible, reckless plan. He would load a cartridge. Not a client's. He would, using the Institute's own harvesting equipment on himself, create a memory. But not a happy one. He would forge a memory of pure, screaming terror. A poisoned feast. And he would play it, at full strength, in the heart of the Institute. He would offer the tenant a meal it couldn't digest. He would choke it with the one thing it couldn't process. Real, unfiltered, human horror. This concludes part 2 of The Night Manager. The farm has been revealed. The farmer has issued an ultimatum. And the night manager is preparing to poison the harvest.